guys, it's Michelle with Marshtown TV today, and I am here with a very good friend of mine. This is Mr. Tim Carpenter. He is a lieutenant and a public educator with the Marshtown City Fire Department. Tim, thank you so much for coming and talking to us here at Channel 7.
Well, you're welcome, Michelle. I always like talking to people. You know me.
I think you do like that. Well, the reason that I appreciate you coming in and talking with us, there's a really important topic that I think we need to get out to all of our folks. It's coming up here at the onset of October. Let's talk a little bit about that. What exactly am I referring to?
That would be Fire Protection Week or Fire Prevention Week, and that's something that's been going on for almost a century now. It happened a long time ago in a couple places, Chicago and in a little town in Wisconsin in 1871, October the 8th of 1871 to be exact. Two big fires happened. One of them was the largest fire ever recorded in history for the United States, and the other one it devastated Chicago pretty bad.
And you gave me some research information to look over, so I found out that it's really not true about Mrs. O'Leary's cow, right, starting the Chicago fire?
Well, legend has it that Mrs. Catherine O'Leary owned a cow. She was milking her cow, and the cow tipped over the lantern, and it set the hay on fire, which burned the barn down, and that fire caused all kinds of other fires to happen in Chicago. But I think they've debunked that and said it was some other things.
That poor cow. Well, again, you said this has been taking place, that National Fire Prevention Week has been going on for over 100 years. Let's talk about it on a local level. What are you and your co-workers, what are you doing here in Marshtown to highlight that for the residents here?
Well, we try to get out not just during this time of year, but all the time. We try to tell folks about how important it is to maintain fire safety, how to be safe in their homes, how to be safe around their homes, and how to be safe when they're away from their homes. Just like having operating smoke alarms, make sure they work. But the theme this year for Fire Prevention Week is actually every second counts. Plan 2 ways to escape.
That's an excellent idea. I know my daughter and son-in-law and grandkids, they live in a 2-story house, and when they first moved in, the first things that they did was they got a fire prevention plan and escape route in mind for the kids. So that's something everybody should do, even if they're not in a 2-story house, right?
That's correct. And even go a little farther than that, than just having a plan. You need to practice your plan at least twice a year. You also need to do it daytime and nighttime, because the majority of fires happen at night when people are at home. So.
Well, and looking at the research, and again, I really did enjoy that in a sad way, because that's really sad what you shared with me. But I noticed a few things that I didn't know before. If you are in a house fire, as you exit, you need to shut the door behind you. Tell me the reason behind that.
Well, that's for a couple of reasons. First, if a fire is in a room and the door is closed, it prevents that fire from traveling throughout the structure more rapidly. So it can slow the fire down to give you more of a chance to get out. In today's building materials, the way we're building homes to be lightweight, and cheaper, some of the things that they're doing because of the components that are putting in, the glues and things like that, is causing homes to burn hotter and faster. So your chances of getting out have actually decreased tremendously from what they were in times past. So where you once maybe had 30 minutes to get out, now you're looking at maybe 5 minutes to get out. And so by closing a door, it's going to keep the fire kind of at bay long enough to get out of the home.
And give more time for you and your coworkers to come in and help take care of the situation. Well, aside from the closing doors, like I said, I had no idea to even think about something like that. And again, we always, especially in this time of year, we stress check the batteries in your fire alarm, even though I know that's important all year. What are some other things that you can share with our viewers? Just some off the top of your head things that's going to help them to help make these seconds count.
Well, they need to check the batteries in their smoke alarms, as you mentioned. They need to check to make sure their alarm's working once a month by pushing the button. Check those batteries once a year to make sure they're fresh batteries. And if their unit is more than 10 years old, they need to replace it with a brand new device, because those units do have a shelf life, or a half-life, so to speak, on them. So they do expire.
Well, what about hazards like in the kitchen? I think it said the kitchen and maybe the bedroom. That's some of the more hot spots, I'll say, where some of the fires happen. What can folks do in those particular rooms to kind of prevent a possible fire in their home?
Well, there again, having operating smoke alarms helps them get out. But knowing ways out of your room in case you can't go out the door. You may have to go out a window, or you may have to go through a wall. If you have to go through out a window, make sure you have something where you can land safely under you. You may have to have a rescue ladder. Working fire extinguishers in your home help too. And if you're building a new home, I would suggest sprinklering the building, because that really helps.
A lot of it's just common sense things. I think that a lot of us don't think about. We just kind of take things for granted. Well, what about, I know back in the day when I was a kid, one of the big pushes that we had was, heaven forbid your clothes caught on fire. You did the stop, drop, and roll. Is that still something that you guys refer to, or are there other techniques that folks need to know about?
Stop, drop, and roll is still a technique we use, but we start giving that technique to kids in about the second or third grade, because they remember that it's their clothes if they catch on fire to stop, drop, and roll. Anybody younger than that, they remember the stop, drop, and roll, but it's not for the right reason. So we really try to stress that it's for the older ones to do that. We also have programs for the senior adults. It's called a Remembering When program, and it just kind of brings them back into their childhood as when they were in school, and maybe they learned some of these things, the stop, drop, and roll, or the get out, stay out, the practicing safe fire drills in your home. But it goes a little farther than that. There are 8 steps for fire safety and 8 steps for just regular everyday safety around their for falls and things like that, and how to prevent those, and what to do in their homes to prevent those things from happening, because some of those folks, maybe they're confined to their homes and they can't get out, but it kind of gives them a reassurance of what they can do to get out. We have programs for juvenile fire setters. I hate to say that we have folks like that around, but we have ways to teach and reach those folks. We have a car seat safety technicians who can install child restraint seats if you're a new parent, if you have a young person who requires a car seat, they can teach you how to properly install that seat into your vehicle.
Yeah, because I know nowadays they have all kinds of straps and all these things, and yeah, I think it's an awesome idea that you guys do that. I don't think I really realized what you as firemen do. It's not just, you don't climb a ladder and get the cat out of the tree, and you don't necessarily come out and put out a grease fire in the kitchen, but you do a lot in this community. And for the residents, I want to say thank you to that, to you and your fellow firemen. I know I like to cut up and play and everything, but this is a very, very serious topic. Now, I know it goes on. Again, we're talking about at the 1st of October, you have a specific week, but you encourage this all year long, right?
That's correct. Even though that since 1925, every president of the United States has proclaimed the week that October the 9th falls into as Fire Prevention Week, we here at Morristown try to express and all year long on how important it is to stay safe. And some other things that we were talking about earlier with your home and the smoke alarms. We do have a smoke alarm program here in Morristown that if you cannot afford a smoke alarm in your home inside Hamlin County, or it has been in some of the other areas around, then we will provide those for you free of, at no cost to you. We get grants where we can get that, and we would like to make that happen. And it's also in honor of our late Fire Marshal, Yul Noah, that our program is now called eNOAA. Everyone needs operating alarms at home. So that's where all that comes in. And I know the citizens of Morristown, a lot of them knew Yul, and of course he's going to be very, very hard missed here. But this program maybe can keep his legacy going, and maybe remind us of him and what he did in this community to try to keep this program going and to get it out into the community for more than just 1 week.
Well, that's a wonderful tribute to him, and I knew him as well. He's a wonderful, wonderful gentleman. Well, Tim, if I could ask you, if these folks have questions about your programs or any of that, can they give you a call? Is there a website they can go to? How can they get in touch with you about these?
Well, they can call the fire department here. It's 585-4651 or 586-5072, and they can talk to anyone here. They can ask for the fire marshal. They can go online to mymorristown.com/fire, or they can go online to nfpa.org and look under public education in that. And what we try to do here in Morristown is we try to keep things small, because we don't want things to happen like it did in Wisconsin when it was, like I said earlier, it was recorded as the largest fire ever, largest forest fire ever recorded. And then in obviously in Chicago, we don't want anything like that, or like what happened in Gatlinburg. So before those things become big fires, and we have to bring out the big axes and
Not the big guns, but the big axe.
axes. We carry big axes in the fire department. But before we have to resort to that, we want people to be safe in their homes, and we want to make sure that they get out in case there is a fire, because it's a lot easier on the community as a whole to have to replace a structure than it is to try to replace the citizens of the community. So, and that's always the downside of any fire.
Absolutely. And I think the bottom line, I think it's a wonderful theme this year. Every second counts, right? Well, it's Tim, thank you so much. I know we've heard all kinds of bells and whistles in the background, so I know you probably have lots of things to get back to, but I do genuinely appreciate you taking the time to talk to me. Very important subject. Go back and call some of the numbers. I'm sure Tony will put them at the bottom of the screen that Tim talked about. Thank you so much. I never shake anybody's hand, but I want to shake your hand. Thank you so much. I appreciate you and everything that you do. Folks, thank you so much for staying tuned to Channel 7 Marshtown TV today. We always have fun, but you know what? We do have our serious side as well. Take care, and we'll see you next time.